is going to be, once again, the Orianna. Super available, super up. Now that the lock's gone, one of the worst matchups you can have for that one could potentially just be slammed, although the Neferi does banned out last time around, as we talked about, one of those real strong junglers. It's one of JJ's best looking picks. He's not had a great time on anything this split, but I do really like that he now has himself something early aggressive. Although, have NIP really shown us that they can play through that early game as effectively as they really need to for this champion? We'll have to wait and see.
Jace hovered on the other side makes me nervous. I am not a Jace enjoyer. I am, however, an Ori enjoyer. So this, a whole lot better for me, and it does get locked in. Denying the Orianna from EDG as well does have a double purpose. I do wonder, however, what Bulldog will take into it. Bulldog went with the Anivia and the Zoe in the last game, and has not been the Bulldog that he needs to be. The Bulldog that EDG need has not shown up today.
Not yet. We'll have to wait and see if we're going to get anything extra coming on in. The Orianna is going to be locked in right here. I mean, maybe you could grab yourself a Twisted Fate if you really want to go for some heavy roaming alongside JJ in this situation. I wouldn't mind seeing something very aggressive coming out into this mid lane as well. Although, with the lock gone, you don't really have as many highly aggressive options. Your Akali maybe could be a potential option. Instead, for right now, they are just going to pick themselves up the Rumble. I like picking up the Rumble right here as a takeaway from Hoya, something he really likes to play, that also works very well alongside the Ori. And it is going to be a Jhin locked in here to round out this first round. Again, some levels of you want to play through the very early game with this Neferi, but then you're kind of backing off, giving yourself some later game options to play around.
I do wonder, with the Rumble lock-in that you mentioned, whether the lack of tank will come back to hurt EDG. You had requested specifically that they pick up a tank here, and ZDZ has denied your request with an Ambessa on the other side. NIP have got themselves a Bruiser frontline with backline access, critical against something like a Jhin. So you combo that with an Orianna, with a Corki, and NIP's composition is looking like one that could end this in 3 games.
It is indeed. I mean, you've already got yourself something that could really go compete alongside this Rumble up in the top lane. This composition is very much about the front-to-back team fighting so far, right? Maybe you can find yourself a little bit of a flank angle out of your Ambessa, but you're perfectly happy to just step to your opponents. Little bit short range, though, is my worry, right? The Corki has tons of damage available, right? But if you're stepping up close enough really to be able to do that damage, ZDZ, JJ, they're both going to have good options to be able to get right on top of you. So you do have to play this one out very, very carefully for Photic. Whereas on the other side of things, I love that Leave has the Jhin. If you're going to miss position, at least do it 20 meters that way, right? If you're on the other side of the screen and you miss position a little bit, not going to be the end of the world. If he's getting caught out, though, there are no options for the Jhin. You don't even have a 50 caliber net to be able to jump away. So you have to be careful as Leave, and we have seen he's not necessarily able to constantly do that.
Second ban going to come through on Nami. And just making sure that the Corki Nami does get taken away. A Shyvana locked in for Guwon, though.
Okay.
And this is Guwon's series, it appears. He's feeling himself and picking up the Shyvana here. Actually pretty good into things, not just like Leave, but even into ZDZ as well, should the Rumble end up going top lane. And I say should the Rumble end up going top lane because we lock in Vayne and Shen immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that's really interesting right here. That should be the Vayne going up into the top lane right now, and then you'll put the Rumble on into the mid lane. How much Bulldog has played this one out? I don't think he's had any games on it so far this split. No, he has not, so you know, we'll see how much he's going to be able to do with this champion. Poppy, currently the final potential hover. I don't love it in this situation. There are plenty of dashes that you can be stopping. I think you just want this straight up frontlining ability of an Alistar. That is indeed going to be the choice. Being able to as well just push people around in these fights is going to be good for the repositioning. The final lock-ins come through. EDG, I asked for kind of standard front to back, and they do literally the complete opposite.
I think this game is difficult. That's where I'm at right now. NIP have drafted themselves a really, really fun composition that does a lot of very enjoyable and wombo combo-y things, and EDG have drafted themselves 5 squishy champions, and I'm including Shen because Shen is a support. If NIP get ahead, EDG get blown up on cooldown. Am I reading this wrong? Am I tripping?
I mean, yeah, if EDG fall behind, goodbye. Right? Maybe you can find some sort of big play. We're able to layer all of your ultis down on top of each other, right? The equalizer coming down on top with the curtain call. There are opportunities, right? But you have such a weird time trying to initiate the team fights. Who's actually initiating? Parukia. Parukia is initiating the team fights with that dash. And maybe there's a chance that that can work out nice and easily for you, but in a situation where you have also just got the reject button of the headbutt out of Fengyue, I worry that EDG are really going to be able to start the fights on their terms in any way, shape, or form, whereas NIP, plenty of go buttons, both committal and non-committal for them, and when they decide to fully pull the trigger, like you said, that wombo combo is going to be huge. I need to see JJ getting ahead early, not just getting out jungled by Guwon, but so far, this has been Guwon series.
Live by the sword and die by the sword for EDG. That sword being playing squishy champions. That sword being needing to carry. And I don't see a single member of EDG who is not feeling that right now, except Parukia. Parukia's taken one for the team, as always, on the support. But the rest of EDG is not willing, not able to, perhaps towards the end of the split, compromise on their own ability to shine and draft a front-to-back composition that may very well work against NIP. It's possible that we end this series and we never know.
Yeah, indeed. We will possibly never actually get to see what they could have done with something standard. Instead, we're just going to see some pretty aggressive plays coming through the bot lane. Heal going to be blown as well. You are going to come out on top in terms of health. Obviously, the Alistar barely a champion at this point in the game. Not surprising that the push is coming through. Same thing happening in the top lane. And this is kind of what you want as an Nephiri, right? This champion absolutely loves going and stealing camps. Having all of the pressure that you're expecting from these side lanes is going to certainly help in that way. The only lane that's not currently getting a push going right now is Bulldog on this Rumble. Kind of expected, right? The Orianna can put the squeeze on with those auto attacks. And Guwon also just going to get spotted out right here as well. Really free early game. Although, oh my god, Leave.
Wait, Leave is alive. Tower didn't hit him. We're all good. Flash out of him, though.
Anybody there. That's a shame. I mean, if Fengyue has his E in this situation, that could well have worked. Instead, it's just going to be the flash blown. Leave losing his. We'll see if maybe we get some sort of gank coming in.
As of now, the E having been skilled, and they jump forward. First blood gonna go to NIP, and a laser focus on Leave, who was just that bit far up. Parukia underneath tower, not gonna end up dying, but Photic tanks 2 tower shots for the aura, and backs away.
He's at least going to be able to walk this one back out. Photic picking up that kill is massive. The fact that Parukia is the one that grabbed the kill on EDG as well is nice. Now Guwon, JJ going to meet right here. Now JJ absolutely wins this 1v1, and Bulldog rotating first means that he's going to have to turn tail and run. The pack doing plenty of damage. He'll just scurry up towards the top side of the map and at least make sure he grabs one of these scuttle crabs.
Bulldog
does
wants
to cover him
let
off.
him have this.
Yeah, he wants to see what he can do, and to be fair, he does big damage at this point in the game. However, 2v1.
Bulldog, yeah, taking that fight. Well, 2v1 on the top side against ZDZ has Guwon again foregoing the scuttle crab, this time to try and pick up a kill on the Vayne, and he will. A 300 gold burst going to him with the kill, but Jeje gets the double scuttle, so who's really winning here?
Personally, I'll take the kill. I think if I'm Guwon, I mean, hey, falling behind a little bit in terms of jungle camps isn't ideal, right? You do not want to allow the Nephiri to just be kind of free farming her way through the early stages of this game, but the Shyvana, obviously a champion that you want to be incredibly aggressive early on, right? Get yourself towards that Trinity Force as quickly as possible. Especially with PTA, right? Just going to be ripping through people if you can stick on top of them. And through the very early stages of this game, we're not even 4 minutes in, right? And we have already had such explosivity. I love the early roam coming through right here. Just immediately Fengyue heading towards the top side of the map. Hex flashing over the wall. ZDZ's just not expecting it. He's trying to rotate down to help out the rest of his squad. And this creative pathing comes away with an extra kill for NIP.
No real chance for ZDZ to do much. Care, maybe in the same situation, slowed up, does have Guwon here to defend him even underneath the tower. Care not going to get out alive though as the second dagger connects from Xiaohao, and Bulldog walks away, still pretty healthy all things considered.
Indeed, both junglers able to pick up some early kills right here. Exactly what they would have been wanting. The scaling options are there for both of these squads in parts. Really, though, they're looking to fight around these 1 to 2 item marks. And so grabbing these early kills are going to be critical for keeping pace with their opponents. 5 minutes in, no real gold leads or anything have established. Now, NIP looking for a gank onto the bot lane.
This looks like a dead EDG bot lane, if I've seen this story before. Leave. Very dead. And Photic
just
collect
no
that
vision.
kill.
They've got one little deep control ward that you can see right next to the red buff pit, but other than that, nothing defensively for them. They had absolutely no clue that Guwon was going to be coming down towards the bottom side of the map. They could have had an inkling, right? There is the Drake available to potentially be grabbing. There were no camps topside, as you would have known, because of the pathing towards the Scuttlecrab in the bot lane, then having to turn around and move towards the top lane. So they would have expected some sort of bot lane if they were paying attention to it, potentially. That isn't the case. Still, it does look like EDG are going to be able to pick up this first Drake of the game, the Hextech Drake. Pretty nice one to get as an individual. And yeah, like you said, Leave should just once again go down. I mean, Fengyue is just doing the basic combo every single time. At least, actually, Leave will be able to flash out of that one, exhaust out of that one even. But he keeps losing summoner spells.
And thank you to Parukia for making sure to take the extra stun out of there as well. Guwon almost gets the Skettle reset on him, but Care eats the equalizer and hits a sombrero to take Xiaohao out of the ult. Not going to save him though, as EDG, they do at least know exactly who they want to be bullying in this game. It's even, and in large part, because they're very comfortable killing Orianna on repeat.
Just then the Orianna has a very... Oh, hang on. It's the same combo again. We're just seeing it again. Guwon going to get himself another kill in this game, and right now Fengyue looking to get in on the action of the MVPs. Bot lane is now fighting one-on-one. Leave just dead here. Photic flashing forwards to secure that kill.
Well played from Photic. He knew he was stronger, and now is going to back and get even stronger. The overextension in the mid lane as well from EDG is concerning because it compromises the one area of the map where they were unquestionably winning. Still, Bulldog in a good position, still on Rumble. Quite terrifying when paired with the Orianna. But is it as bulletproof as it seemed moments ago? Not so much.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not in this situation. Nobody got that first item completed quite yet. The first item spikes are really, really strong for both of these teams, so trying to get towards that as quickly as possible. The battle of which of these junglers gets there first is going to be very important. Fengyue once again going for some sort of flank, might actually get himself caught out right here. Obviously doesn't have the unbreakable will quite yet, but should be able to get back to his team, and indeed does.
One very nearly.
Oh my god, he's going to go back in.
You can't fall for this. Fengyue just keeps going for it. Public execution will go wide, which saves Xiaohao's life, but Photic taking the 1v1 with ZDZ might actually win it. The missile goes wide though, and it'll be 1-for-1. Not what he was hoping for, but you know what? Going 1-for-1 as an AD carry with a top laner, not something you see every day.
I mean, not exactly fair when it is the Vayne up in the top lane. Hoya now jumping forwards. EDG gonna have to be careful not to get Leave caught out right here. I would like to return to that mid lane play. A little bit of anti-synergy, unfortunately, that public execution goes wide. As Hoya, you can just kind of wait until you get that headbutt through the wall. Instead, decides to go preemptively and does miss out on it. Still, Fengyue stepping up. He should be dead here.
Yeah, steps up a little too far, and really well played from Parukia in that moment as well, landing not just the taunt, but additionally Spirit's Refuge, making sure that he doesn't take the stun. EDG get the one kill, Photic shows up, and that'll be all for the play.
Well, indeed, things continuing to be basically dead even, despite all of the craziness, all of the back and forth that we have seen so far. We'll have a look back at this 1v1 up in the top side of the map. I mean, as ZDZ, he never ends up landing the stun into the wall. If he hits a stun into the wall, sure, instead he just kind of has to use it for a little bit of spacing. With that rocket missing, he thinks he can go back in, at least making it a 1-for-1, but ZDZ takes this trade, and I don't think he understood quite how strong Photic was coming out of lane.
I don't know, might not understand the compromising position he's in topside either. Guwon and Care are both here, and that is a combination that is sure to kill a Vayne Shockwave. Going to connect, very patient on that one from Care just to make sure that the extra bit of damage lands, and that ZDZ is certainly dead for the third time.
And ZDZ kind of having a miserable time of it, right? He tries to play some aggressive champions the whole way through this series, right? He's played the Varus, now he's playing the Vayne, just trying to get aggressive in these top lane matchups with the ranged champions, and just hasn't been working out. Now, Photic might be the response on the other side, but he does have Fengyue stepping on in. And yeah, indeed, is just going to have this play cut off. You could see both JJ and Bulldog were rotating down. They decide to pull out, just steal away a couple camps instead.
Photic, not even particularly powerful yet. And I say that despite him being 3-1 and having 1v1, not just Leave, but ZDZ. I mean, in terms of the items, Photic is going to get a lot more problematic, especially if stuff like this keeps happening. Leave, forced to flash away. Fengyue, he's turning onto Xiaohao in the river right now, drops the exhaust on him to try and extend and engage from NIP as Hoya teleports down out of nowhere. NIP really want to fight, and Fengyue again is going to find the backline. Leave will fall with a public execution channeled right on top of it. NIP get to back away to the dragon and whatever else they want.
Fengyue taking big chunk of damage right here from the equalizer, but the Rumble just not going to be strong enough right now for that full kill to be picked up. And we're going to back off. Nobody's actually going to be able to pick themselves up the Drake in this fight either, but the kills are going over, and NIP finally managed to establish themselves an actual gold lead in this game. Only about 1,000 gold right now, but it is something, and with the resets coming on through, first items now going to be coming through. Hoya, Guwon, and Photic all able to complete theirs. These are big spikes coming through for these champions.
Yeah, look out for Guwon on this as well. You know he's looking for the engage right now, especially with Care right behind him. EDG would like to secure this dragon. No equalizer critically for them at this moment. But with Photic stepping up into the river and Guwon going in, it looks like the dragon is going to go over to NIP due to Care of all people. Fengyue and Guwon all up in the mix, while Photic struggling to auto right now is going to try and get away after the curtain call gets channeled right after him. Care sniped once, twice, and the fourth shot not quite connecting as Photic turns things around in the river, taking out Xiaohao. Parukia and the minions will take out Care, and EDG keep looking forward as Bulldog, leading the charge right now, is still quite strong on this Rumble. NIP gonna sidestep and get out. Photic and Fengyue survive.
Fengyue having his ulti come back off of cooldown towards the very end of that fight. Photic just about surviving another one of the rockets hitting. And Fengyue just about going to survive right here. Photic played crazy throughout that fight. You could really see living on the very edge, keeping himself alive throughout. But EDG, actually a much better fight for them overall. Don't quite manage to secure themselves the Drake, though.
Even after having lost that Drake, NIP, at least from this perspective, from where I'm sitting, are in a really good spot. Bulldog, maybe the one answer to that, as we'll see through this fight, he does a lot of damage.
Absolutely he does, and he's had a pretty chill beginning to the game. A couple of deaths, but nothing too major to write home about. Kind of a key point right here for this fight is that NIP engage this fight when they don't have a bunch of big ultis available to them. There's no public execution, there's no unbreakable will, and that makes this fight so much harder to play out. Obviously in the picture-in-picture you can see, unfortunately, JJ just going to go down right here, and this has been the main problem for EDG, is just getting caught out between the fights. The actual team fighting has been better for them in certain situations, right? But when you're falling behind outside of these team fights, it makes it so much harder.
Fengyue a big part of that. Fengyue actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if NIP do end up winning this game. Fengyue's got the argument for a player of the game so far. The way that he's played Alistar has set his team up in a lot of situations where they otherwise would not have had an advantage, let alone a play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, if you're looking at an MVP on this game and NIP end up winning, absolutely Fengyue so far, he'd be having my vote. He has just been all over this game. His fingerprints in basically every single aspect of this one. Very close to having 100% kill participation, but a couple of those solo kills, a couple people getting hyphy without him has ruined that one out. Still, for NIP, now 15 minutes into this game, they're set up for success in this one. The scaling options, really, it's not that important in this game. The big power spikes are coming through right now for the majority of these champions, and you really just want to keep the pace of the game high right now as NIP, not necessarily because your composition demands it, but because EDG just haven't shown any ability to fight back from that.
With Rift Herald started up, EDG would like to contest it, but will they be able to manufacture it? Bulldog not quite able to commit to the fight, especially through Fengyue. Bulldog has done a really good job of noticing when he's able to walk up and when he isn't, and so in a situation like that, you know, keeping himself safe, keeping himself relevant, and not repeating the mistakes of mid lane past is going to be useful for him. That is a nice public execution predicted by EDG, however, as Bulldog, fighting in the top lane does eat a lot of damage, and just as I was praising his positioning too, gets caught completely unawares.
Absolutely, he's not going to be able to get anything done, and with Parukia having to go down to the bottom lane to keep ZDZ alive, just leaving his mid laner out to dry. As you said, one of the few bright spots that this composition maybe had was this Rumble, now not going to be the case, and Hoya still stepping up to these two champions sat in his lane right now. With that Eclipse completed, he is very strong. Got Fengyue incoming as well.
Exhaust gonna get dropped as Fengyue finds a double knock up. Stun not gonna land onto ZDZ, has to settle for Parukia, and that'll mean that NIP do come up killless in this exchange. We got an AD carry on the way down though, and Leave, magnetically attracted to the engagement, is gonna show up and ultimately have to walk away from an NIP that absolutely could dive you.
And he needs to just be really careful right here. They're going to lose out onto this tower as well. You can see setting themselves up plenty of vision, plenty of pressure around this rapidly approaching Drake. 10 seconds until that one joins us. Not really soul point or anything to write home about for either of these teams, but if you can pick this one up, obviously going to be really good for the Xiaohao here on Guwon.
With Dragon, second of the game for NIP if they're able to secure it, and same for EDG. It's not going to be determined by a soul, very likely. We'll be waiting this one out a little while longer to see who actually ends up with the advantage in the Cloud Soul department as well. Cloud Soul, really scary for both compositions, but especially into an Orianna, I'd hate to deal with it. Speaking of Orianna, flash out of care.
And that is at least something, right? That's a pretty big defensive tool that you are now missing out on, Hoya. Looking for some kind of flank, he's just going to walk straight over some vision, so EDG know to back this one off. They've got no real deep vision to be playing around in this bottom side jungle either. And with the Herald spawning, they could just go.
Hoya looks like he's been picked, but he's got a 1v1 with Xiaohao because Guwon is all over his support. A dragon in the front line makes things a little bit more complicated. And NIP gonna pick up this fight win with a public execution from Hoya, who comes right back onto Xiaohao. Who's ulting who?
And now you're gonna get a third charge off on this Rift Herald right here. Mid lane at tier 3 tower takes a huge chunk, and for NIP, couple kills so they can pull back and go grab themselves this Drake as well. Really nicely played out of them. The snap engages are lovely, and you can really see the fun of the combo between the Shyvana and the Orianna right here. Guwon doesn't really have a way to engage these fights, but he just has to step up and get close enough that the shockwave can come on through. You can see it right here, as he said, right? Hoya maybe could potentially have been caught out in this fight, but instead things get turned around on him pretty much instantly.
And Guwon gets to sit here and pull Parukia out of tower range with the Orianna ult. I was going to call it a sombrero, but that's specifically the term for when Orianna ults herself.
Instead, is just going to be a little bit of extra rage onto this dragon. And so far, Guwon has played a truly excellent series. I mean, very much in the running for the series MVP. If he's able to keep this performance up, 5-1-6 right now, as Fengyue going in again. I feel like we have said that a million times right now. Taking a decent chunk of damage, but Photic, he wants the one-on-one.
He's flashing forward on an ulted Jin, by the way. Jie certainly next. I can't think of a single member of NIP who do not feel comfortable right now swinging their weight around. ZDZ, that guy is super dead. Nothing you can really do here as Kara's gonna hit him with the slow. Guwon, the fear, and the last hit to follow through. On the other side of the map, Photic is touchable. He is mortal, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine he jumped forwards into a rumble with ulti up, so not sure what he was expecting in that situation. Still, not going to cost the team too much. 7,000 gold, the advantage for NIP right now. They're going to grab themselves that second Drake of the game. Quite late on the second Drake. We're going to have quite a while until we actually get to the Soul. Still, NIP, they can just afford to chill out in this game. They put themselves into a great spot right here. Now, with the Baron up and available, that's going to be the next focus.
Picture in picture says you were right, by the way.
Yeah,
that was how that went. And you know what? Photic having a second death in the column, that's one thing, but he'll probably end with another win in the column as well if this game has been anything to go by so far. NIP do appear to be in the position to go up 3-0. And Fengyue finding yet another engage on ZDZ is doing nothing to dissuade me of that notion. Parukia has got a nice flash, but his top laner dies anyway.
So these questions, right? Hey, how strong is Group Nirvana actually? Right? This is what you have throughout the entirety of the split. 6-0 were NIP throughout their split. They only lost 3 individual games, as we're going to watch Bulldog die once again. I mean, there's nothing really to write home about in this one, even with the equalizer. One more auto attack will take him down. This is just...
I thought he was going to live. I really thought he was going to live.
That would have really been the cherry on top, whilst we watch this Baron go down. The big question was, how strong is Group Nirvana actually? Because in the last split, right, we see 4 matchups between Group Nirvana and Group Ascend teams, and we end up promoting 3 Group Nirvana teams to Group Ascend. We promote LGD, WE State, and we should promote LGD, EDG, and Thundertalk. And they have all done, not great for themselves during the regular season, but well enough. They've been able to find their moments. LGD finishes 6th with a 6-8 record, so they're taking games, and they took games off of some of our top teams. But NIP, Invictus Gaming, some of the teams that got sent down, we're thinking, you are way too good for Group Nirvana, surely. And I think the answer is being shown to us right here. They are. I think this really is the last nail in the coffin for Group Nirvana.
Especially with it being the final time that we'll see these teams play against each other in the LPL with this promotion demotion sort of vibe to it. I know that in Split 3, we're not really promoting to anything. You're going straight to playoffs, but I do wonder if the system gets brought back for next year, given, as you're talking about, the fact that Nirvana has so clearly stayed competitive. If not even more than that, can we really say that it's worth separating the league, that it's worth certain teams getting less playtime based on a good or bad split, when on the whole, they are clearly very able to compete? NIP definitely proving that right now, and proving that emphatically, is with the Baron. First inhibitor tower is going to go down, and Fengyue has started yet another fight. Guwon, wearing the ball for a moment, does just get to walk through the tower, leaving Kara alone with Leaf for a little while. And the mosh pit for NIP does result in a kill right outside of the tier 2. Kara gets caught, but Bulldog gets punished for it, and Hoya even rockets into the front line to eat the 4th shot, but pick up a kill in the meanwhile. 3 members of NIP are left standing, and those 3 are going to likely be enough to end the game.
Absolutely, they are. NIP, they get revenge for the play-ins last split, where they lose 3-2 and get sent down into Group Nirvana. If this is a Group Nirvana Group Ascend split that we get in the next season, they'll at least be in Group Ascend. But for right now, they get to look forward to playoffs.
And it's not even close. That was a convincing 3-0 by NIP. The first game had me wondering. The second game was actually close until Guwon made it not. And the third game, not close at all.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I feel like after the split that we got to witness here out of EDG, there's not major surprises coming in. I was pretty confident that we're going to see NIP pick themselves up wins here today. The fact that the track records of these Nirvana teams have been looking better and better recently gave me some extra hope, but I didn't want to be too excited for them, right? Because you are playing versus, well, worse teams, but then you look down at the worst teams you're playing against: Invictus Gaming, Weibo Gaming, an LNG that we've been increasingly excited for recently. I mean, there were plenty of opportunities for them to play good teams, just not a whole lot of games overall. And it seems like it has worked. That 6-0 is legit. And now going into playoffs, I don't think you could be underestimating how good this team are. I think that they will be coming in with a potential threat onto whoever it is that promotes through from this next matchup that we've got between ThunderTalk and IG. If you're an LGD, a WE, a JDG, I wouldn't want to face this NIP team right now. They are rolling.
Yeah, and very clearly, especially with this series, you got to be careful with this man Guwon coming out of the jungle, because not only do we have the second game to talk about, but the fact that in the other two games he's picking champions that he doesn't have to. He's picking Shiv, he's picking Cho'Gath. It's actually free not to do this, and he's playing whatever he likes and winning on it. This Shiv actually looked very good. I was not on the Cho'Gath train. I think the Cho'Gath is good. It was fun. It was fine, but ultimately it could have been anything else. The Shiv actually looked like it was getting value and doing specifically Shyvana things.
Oh yeah, and I think that Guwon should be picking himself up the overall game MVP right here. For this individual game, Fengyue, holy, that was one of the single most aggressive Alistar performances that I think I've ever seen. I was talking about how, I think they need a true tank to be able to stand up in these team fights, which he was, right? He was using the Unbreakable Will to great effects later on, but that was 2% of the overall impact of this guy during the game. I feel like he used that basic flash headbutt knock somebody back combo. I feel like that's one of the first combos you learn in League if you play a support role. You know, hey, what combos do you do? Oh, these things. I'll press those buttons in that order. And he just rode that all the way to victory for his team, playing a really solid game overall for the squad. And the fact that he was able to find this many picks is a great testament to him, but also, again, it tells you that EDG, their positioning, their map communication just isn't there. People should not have been getting caught out in the situation they did. Bulldog should not have been caught out in that mid lane play after they just made a good play happen for EDG. Yeah,
there's a lot that EDG can go back and review. I do think that because their season is over, we're probably not seeing this EDG roster again. We're probably breaking this up. It was too much of a disaster in Split 3 for us to run this back again. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you're not running this back. Bulldog, we'll see, right? We'll see whether or not we're going to keep this guy. I mean, I think he's been fun in the past. This has just been a truly atrocious split for him. Leave as well, the questions just continue to pile up on this guy's head. When he's good, he's so good. He has the mechanics to be one of the better ADCs that we have, I think. You know, at least a mid-pack ADC, not somebody you'd be worried about. But those mispositioning errors that just simply have not gotten better, not for him when he was on EG originally, not for him when he was on NIP for that year, last year, and again, continuing on, at some point you have to question whether or not it's worth it, because in the current meta, in League of Legends in general, you give so many resources over to your ADC, and if they are liable to just throw them to the enemy team at any available moment, it's really hard to build something specifically. I think JJ, he came in, he did his job, he was just not given winning lanes to play around. I'm not majorly upset at the way that he played here. With a better squad around him, I think he could have done more in this situation.
Yeah.
But for EDG, it's got to be back to the drawing board.
Yeah, a bit better squad, different game plan as well. I liked his Panth a lot. Game one, actually, I think looked really, really good for him. Didn't quite work. I think the player that I'm most confused about is Leave, because there are moments of brilliance.
Yeah.
Those moments are countered by other, more critical moments. But Leave is not, in my opinion, Leave is not a bad AD carry. He's just unable to escape the prison of his own mistakes.
That's a good way of putting it. The worry is, though, that at some point, you have to pay it back. You have to do well for your squad, right? And he just hasn't been able to do so. He's not a new player, right? He's been around since 2021. This is going to be his 5th full season that we've had with him in the LPL, mostly on EDG. You know, some bouncing back down to the lower team, bouncing back up to the upper team, right? 1 year on NIP as well. At some point, the patience for these kind of mistakes has to wear out. I mean, I have a game of his burned into my mind. It's a hour-long banger in which he's playing Lucian. He gets 20 kills in that game, and in one critical fight at the end, just kind of walks at the opponents, gets killed. The other team ends up winning. It was a big match for NIP in the playoff race as well, it turned out to be, and it's moments like that that stand out about him rather than the moments of brilliance, so it is rough still. It is unfortunate that we're going to be seeing EDG bow out like this, but given the way their regular season went, not majorly surprising.
And a big win for NIP. Like, it's not like it's just EDG one-sidedly losing. NIP, the fact that they are able to make this series in Split 3 not close, especially coming out of Group Nirvana, lends credence to what you were talking about, that like having EDG in Group Ascent, did it actually do them any favors when this was a close matchup coming out of Split 2? Yeah. And now we enter into Split 3. In theory, EDG are the better team because they get so much more time playing against the even better teams. And NIP come in and 3-0 them? I mean, it makes a strong argument for NIP and the rest of course, the playoffs that they will now go on to. But it also, you know, highlights what you've been talking about through this game of, do we need to be doing this?
Do we need to? Does EDG really need an LNG to be beating up on as just someone to get some wins under their belts? I think there could have been more competitive games with it all amalgamated. Obviously, looking at the stats right here in this game, Photic doing his job on the Corki. We talked about whether or not he was actually going to be able to step up and do his damage, but because Fengyue was being so annoying to his opponents, because Hoya was hitting some really critical ultis, and Guwon was doing his job too, he was absolutely free to sit and do his thing, and you can see it right here. I mean, the game starts explosively and kind of just never stops. I mean, Fengyue at no point stops being annoying to his opponents, stops getting in their faces, flashing forwards. He starts.
What do you do against that? Like, and by the way, that's not a leave positioning error in my eyes. That is Fengyue.
Yeah, what do you do? Are you meant to be sat under your tier 2 at this point, right? Like,
yeah.
Nah.
It's one of those things where, like, the way that Fengyue was playing Alistair, you can either participate in the game or you can just not get comboed. Like, it's you just don't get to walk up to the fight. I do think, you know, there were fights for EDG that looked like they were going pretty well, especially those fights around Bulldog, who played the Rumble mid quite well. Rumble mid worked as a pivot point, especially into something like an Orianna. Didn't have as much trouble as I think it very well could have, and was quite active in a lot of these skirmishes, but it's a Fengyue gap.
It was indeed. Fengyue really just all over this game, and I feel like it's also worth mentioning that ZDZ just got bodied here. Hoya, we talked about how he was the one member of NIP that didn't get voted for our All-Pro. That went over to the Shy. I think that was a little bit harsh, right? I think that Hoya was doing really well for his squad during the regular season. I can understand. So was the Shy. So, you know, back and forth in this situation. But the fact that he was able to play this matchup so well, because he was handed tough matchups back and forth, right? You're expecting him to get pushed around by the Varus, by the Vayne. Even that matchup into the Olaf could have been a bit tricky, right? He ends up losing out on one solo kill, and I thought that could have swung the matchup, but instead he's able to fight back, get himself into good spots in the game. I think he played really solid overall, not MVP level or anything, but doing his job, which, honestly, from your top laner, 90% of the time, doing your job is all you're asking for. You don't need them to have these major pop-off performances, and I thought in this game, he was absolutely brilliant when he needed to be, doing his job overall.
And even in game one, I think very impressive on the Gnar, as you made mention of. Then just has a knack for not needing, as we were very critical of for EDG, not needing to carry, not needing to be the center point of the game.
He doesn't take resources either. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
He's falling not that far behind, and you never have to go send your jungler to deal with him. You don't need to send your jungler to get him ahead either, because he's not going to be your main carry. He's going to be a piece of the puzzle as he needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, very impressed with Hoya in this series. Likely not going to get any recognition for it, so it's good that we're able to, talk about him a little bit here because of how important he was to the overall series success and to the drafts that NIP are able to go for off the back of this as well. The drafts this series were very strange.
Hell yeah. They were very strange. Also, thrilled to see Fengyue get recognition for this game. He was just all over this one. Fingerprints everywhere. Involved in basically every play that we ended up seeing. Basically all of them good as well. Only one or two little errors that he made, and even then it wasn't really anything bad. It wasn't him throwing the game away, and I've seen overly aggressive Alistairs throw games away. We saw it kind of recently as well in the LPL, and that's pretty much everybody voting for him. I can understand a couple votes going over towards Guwon. Guwon certainly going to be your overall series MVP, and well deserved in here.
Yeah, it's one of those. I'm curious about the AI reasoning. I do wonder, but it looks like we'll be getting that information because I have piqued my producer's curiosity enough that we'll get to know why exactly the AI thought that Guwon should get it. Fengyue, to me, like so much impact, clearly to the desk. I wonder. I'm thinking about it. There is a play that we haven't talked too much about. Care in the first game. That was probably his best game, right?
I would say so. I would say so. I think that he was able to play sort of the most free that he was able to in this series, but he just didn't need to be the main carry. Again, this is kind of what we were talking about overall. Just multiple. You don't have to be that main guy in a lot of situations. The Cassiopeia was really good in the individual 1v1s, but he was still absolutely serviceable on the lock. Like, he had some really big blow-up moments on the lock. Kind of wasn't able to full carry that game because Guwon was popping off so much, and as we talked about, right, picking himself up that game MVP.
Yeah, this is something that we have seen coming for a while, so if you're watching us talk over this and going, why are they not talking about Guwon? Please go back and watch game 2. I think it accounts for 50% of our total words. Even
we have spoken about this guy to death at this point, and well deserved for it.
Yeah. I mean, very excited to see him play again as well, because the way that he was playing on these champions should be catching the attention of a lot of other players and teams around the LPL, especially as we approach the playoffs. The likelihood that we see the Qiyana, I mean, it's almost 100%. The likelihood that we see something like the Cho'Gath and the Shyvana as well, not non-existent.
It's something else to prep for.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you just have to be aware that they have this flexibility. And when you have a jungler who can be this flexible, when you have a top laner who's really not taking resources and is also quite flexible, it opens up a lot of ways for you to be more comfortable in the draft as a whole. You can basically pick for a strong bot side and then go, and our top lane they're gonna be good with whatever. The whole top side of the map is gonna be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts you in a really fun spot, I think, going on forwards. Obviously, now you've got the real test ahead of you at this point. Now you've got to look towards the playoffs, and what a playoffs it is shaping up to be. I mean, we'll talk about this just very briefly, because this is a super long shot. This is very unlikely to come into any sort of effect. There is still a chance for NIP to make Worlds. They got themselves 5 whole championship points during Split 1. Which is basically none, by the way. I mean, currently BLG have 220. They've already got themselves in. It would take them getting into the top 4 spots, and even then, they'd need a lot to be able to come level. But it's fun. It's fun to still be in the race. And as we've seen with WE, right, anything can potentially happen once you get yourself into the playoffs. Once you get yourself into these playoffs, if you're able to just start getting a bit of momentum going, that can put you in a spot where, hey, maybe there's a chance overall. The other thing to note about this as well is that the winners out of this notes road go straight into the loser side of the bracket, so they do not get double elim. They will be playing up against some of the teams that lose out in that first round of the playoffs in the TES, LGD, and JDG WE matchups. There's some winnable games in there for NIP, depending on who gets knocked down.
Yeah, I mean, NIP, I hope can make a significant playoffs run. The roster clearly has a lot of talent. It will depend largely on what else we see out of playoffs, as teams are clearly just hitting their form. EDG, unfortunately, not able to hit that in time. Thank you to EDG for a split that I'm sure they would have liked a lot more out of. And congratulations to NIP for moving on to the playoffs. We have one more team that we will be sending on to the playoffs today, tonight, this morning, wherever you are in the world, as Thunder Talk and Invictus Gaming are coming up next. So we will see you back here in a few minutes for that best of 5.